Welcome back to Flickr Recaps, where today we're looking at an action thriller film from 2008, Terra Nova. But beware, spoilers ahead! On the cold, barren hills of a deserted island, we meet Jilin looking for a safe place to set up camp. He walks for miles until he slips and falls into a freezing river, but after being carried downstream for a while, he manages to climb out and continue his journey. When he's ready to rest, he stops to sit for a while on a big rock, satisfies his hunger with a flower, and thinks back to how this all began. Jilin was in jail for life for the assassination of 6 men when one afternoon the prison governor sent for him to ask him what he dreams of. He isn't the only person having this strange experience. Several of his fellow prisoners are also called to the governor's office and asked the same question. Moryak's answer is to see the sea, and Yakut wants to witness the war against China. Obezyanka refuses to speak, Obezyan wants to work and become a governor in his very prison, Tolya wishes to follow the space station's progress, and Sipa wants the company of women. As for Jilin's answer, we don't find out. The governor tells them they've been selected to be transferred to a penal colony. Not long after, all prisoners are boarded onto a ship. Just like in prison, the prisoners are divided into groups and put into cells. Obezyan thinks he is the boss and even kills a man to take his bed. When all the hatches are closed, the boat sets sail, but the prisoners start panicking, thinking this has all been a trick to let them die at sea. As violence erupts, Jilin remembers a conversation with Sipa back on dry land. Sipa has severe mental issues and would always draw on the walls and talk gibberish. But on that specific day, he said there were no places left in heaven and hell, with a third purgatory-like place being prepared especially for people like them. Back then, Jilin chalked it up to his usual nonsense talk, but now he's starting to wonder if there was something in his words. After a while, the prisoners start to chill out and attempt to pass the time chatting and eating. Midway through the journey, a gang escapes from one of the cells, hunting for one of their fellow countrymen. Obezyan makes out that he just wants to negotiate at first, but ends up killing the guy they're looking for, causing a riot to kick off. Prisoners begin hitting and killing each other through the bars of the cells, except for Stari, an old prisoner who keeps out of it and prays. The guards quickly arrive, they break up the riot with a warning shot, then they throw a sleeping gas grenade to knock them all out. Eventually, they make it to their destination, a deserted island. The prisoners are put into numbered handcuffs and are grouped on the beach to listen to what Mr. Olafsson and Marta, the heads of the Terra Nova project, have to say. Since the death penalty has become illegal in all countries, prisons have run out of space to hold such a large number of criminals. So the Russian government has offered this land for a project funded by a group of international organizations. From today, the prisoners are colonists living under their protection, and everything they need to survive will be provided, including food that should last 3 months. A satellite will be watching them constantly, but the prisoners can also use communication buoys. All they need to do is take a boat to one, press the red button, and say what they need. If a green light appears, that means the request has been accepted. Obezyan isn't at all happy that they will be recorded 24/7, so to show his dissatisfaction, he throws a rock. But the guards fire some warning shots and he backs off. Marta explains that the prisoners can also request to leave the project through the buoys. They just need to give their name and reason, and they'll be returned to regular prison. The buoys are in the sea, not on the beach, for a reason, to make sure the prisoners think through their decision before risking getting on a boat. Before leaving, the guards drop a bunch of numbered keys on the sand, explaining their numbers match the prisoners' handcuffs. The prisoners rush towards them and start fighting over them, while Jilin and Sipa sensibly wait to grab the keys left behind. Stari also decides to stay back, and they watch as a gang forms a line around the keys, keeping their rivals out. At the same time, another group makes their way to a crate where they collect weapons and attack the crowd with them. Ultimately, it's Ali's gang who takes control. Ali grabs a jacket and a nice pair of shoes for himself and Stari before choosing a man to send out on the boat. But as soon as he chooses someone, the group sees the opportunity to attack, and the fight begins again, leading to the deaths of dozens of men. Moryak kills Ali with a rock to the head, as does Obezyan to Stari, and 3 men that get on a boat to reach the buoy fall into the sea and drown. All the remaining prisoners go to the warehouse and begin distributing the supplies. Obezyan takes advantage of the tools found to get his cuffs open by force. Jilin packs a bag of supplies and finds himself a jacket, while Sipa explains there is no way the food provided will last 3 months. Then Sipa makes his way out of the area to survive on his own and hopefully find a way off the island. Finding ourselves back at the story's beginning, Jilin explores the island until he finds an area clear of snow and a rocky formation that will provide some shelter. He sits there a while looking at a picture of his family he kept hidden inside his prison uniform. He misses them terribly, and that night he cries himself to sleep. A few hours later, he wakes up startled by squealing. It turns out rodents were hidden in the supplies and are now eating their way through his bag and food. It starts raining, so Jilin seeks shelter under the rock formation he saw earlier. He gets a fire going to huddle next to for warmth and heats some water. After the rain passes, he catches a bird and cooks it over the fire, then Sipa finds him. As he chats with Jilin, Sipa tries to steal his knife but is unsuccessful when Jilin catches him and takes it back. Sipa's hungry, so he offers salt in exchange for some meat and Jilin accepts. Sipa goes to collect more firewood, but on the way sees the family photo displayed on the rock and he's compelled to blow a kiss to Jilin's wife. When he returns, they dig into the roasted bird, and when they've had their fill, Sipa walks to the edge of the cliff, explaining he won't jump because he's too afraid. He asks Jilin why he won't kill himself, and the answer is because of his family. They're dead, and he wants to be buried next to them, which won't happen if he dies on the island. They both fall asleep, but when Jilin wakes up, he finds Sipa has stolen his photo to use as inspiration for his depraved ways. A furious Jilin batters him and pushes him off a cliff. Sipa doesn't die because instead of falling into the ocean, he lands on solid ground beneath. Despite this disagreement, the two explore the island together. Sipa amuses himself with the old garbage he finds in the water while Jilin tries to fish. Unfortunately, the only living thing they find in the water is some sort of gross-looking aquatic centipede, and Sipa nearly jumps out of his skin. Jilin is shocked to suddenly find part of a seaplane among the rocks as he's looking around. It only takes going a bit further up the hill to find the entire plane, which gives Jilin some hope because he used to be a pilot and can fly it. However, the two cannot shift it, so they go back to their shelter for now. Jilin starts a fire with some matches he had grabbed at the warehouse, but something in them creates a very toxic smoke. He gets away from the fire, dragging Sipa with him, who won't wake up at first. It takes a few shakes from Jilin for him to regain consciousness, but he continues to spout nonsense, and Jilin realizes the cold will kill them any minute now. So the pair decide to head back to the base and see if they can steal some coal instead of freezing or inhaling toxic smoke. Back at base, life hasn't been easy for everyone, as now Obizyan and his cronies are back in control. They're running a tight ship, controlling the distribution of the supplies, with everyone being ordered to call Obizyan governor. Anyone they don't consider as part of their team, they keep inside the barracks, only allowed to leave to walk around an enclosed area, just like an actual prison, with estimates barking at them from the watchtower. When exercise time is over, they have to literally run for their lives back to their barracks because whoever is last gets killed to be eaten later. Jilin and Sipa are able to reach the coal box, finding the remains of a fire. After walking for so long, they're chilled to the bone, so they can't resist lying next to the fire and falling asleep. Sipa is suddenly awoken by strange noises. The gang is heading their way with their latest victim for roasting. Sipa runs to hide behind a rock, but Jilin is still in danger, so he turns back to rescue him. But he's too late, and Obizyan's men find and capture them. The two of them are taken back to base, where Obizyan tries to decide their punishment for having run away with supplies upon their arrival. Yakut reminds them all that they were on their side during their fight on the ship, but just gets insulted by Estenets, who accuses Yakut of meddling. In response, Yakut hits him, and as a result, the entire gang hits him right back, earning him a place in the barracks alongside Jilin and Sipa. They morosely walk around for a while, then when Estenets announces the end of yard time, Jilin stays behind, prompting Sipa to come get him and drag him inside. From there, they can only watch as the last guy is captured and tied to a pole, begging for his dying wish, some water. Sipa takes pity on him and brings a cup to his lips before he is killed. Later in the evening, before bed, the group discusses the option of rebelling and overthrowing the ruling gang. It could be dangerous, but Shram convinces them it's worth a shot. The following day, Tolya shows Obizyanka that he's installed a secret trap in his workshop to catch any potential thieves. After the group takes their daily walk, Estenets tries to get them back inside for the usual games to begin, but this time, only 2 men run inside while the rest stay outside, forming a group, and Jakut throws a rock at Estenets to shut him up. Jilin approaches Obizyan and suggests a trade-off. If he lets them go to the boy to request food, he'll reveal the location of the plane he found. Obizyan agrees and opens the gate to let them out. While Tolya and Jilin set off on the boat with 2 other men, Obizyan questions his boys about what they know about Jilin. This is how he discovers Jilin was a pilot, his family died in a plane crash, and that he went down for killing flight dispatchers at the airport with a rifle. This crime was classified as murder in a state of severe emotional agitation, making Obizyan think Jilin has a guilty conscience. As soon as the boat is far enough away, he orders the group to return to their barracks, effectively reneging on the deal. Yakut tries to challenge them, but he's immediately killed. Obizyan grabs one more man as he declares their sick game is on again. The group can do nothing but run back to the barracks since a fight is not an option as Obizyan's gang are armed. Back at sea, one of the men falls off the boat, but the other guys save him in the nick of time and pull him back on board to safety. Tolya gets to the boy and asks for help, but it's broken, and not even his tools can help fix it. They return to shore, where Jilin assures Obizyan that food is on the way. However, Obizyan doesn't believe him because he doesn't see the green confirmation light. Tolya reminds Obizyan about the plane's existence, but Obizyan doesn't believe that's true either. This doesn't stop Obizyanka from running around with his arms open like a plane. Obizyan disapproves of this distraction, grabbing him by the neck. Tolya uses this moment to come at him from behind and finish him. 2 other members of his group, Armabek and Arzanov, kill off the rest of the gang and watch Estenets try and escape before capturing him too. They ask Jilin what to do next, who tells them to free the men from the barracks because food is definitely coming, they just didn't see the light because it's broken. The men are skeptical about this whole thing and talk about how they have plenty of bodies to feed on later, but Tolya thinks they should be buried instead. Jilin points out that there's also the plane. So Armabek and Arzanov give in. They free the prisoners and tell them it'll be a few days before the food arrives. The good news is they'll no longer be eating each other, so everyone must stay calm and cooperate. A group will be sent to salvage the plane, get it into a hangar they'll build, and repair it over time to escape. Seeper pipes up, ruining the plan by claiming there's no satellite while writing an SOS message in the sand with the aid of 3 corpses. Later, Essenitz turns up back at the base, and because of the new rules dictating that they must keep the peace, they decide to ignore what he's done for now and share their food with him anyway. Jilin guides a group of men towards the plane, their mood significantly increasing when they see he's been telling the truth the whole time. Together, they take it apart for better transportation and carry the pieces back to base. Eventually, Marta arrives on the island with a load of guards. They keep the men away with gas, but allow Jilin to come to talk to her and discuss the list of things they've requested. She doesn't understand why they're asking for gas, and he explains it's for the generators, which are supposed to be wind-powered, but they don't work during the polar night. The truth is, they want the gas for the plane. Jilin confronts Marta, asking why they didn't answer Seeper's SOS message. Marta explains that their satellite uses infrared, which identifies heat. Ideal for locating people, but not words. She also wants to know what people were doing so far away from the base a few days ago, and he tells her they were fishing. He's not believed because there's no fish in the area. So he spins another lie, saying they've been eating the freaky centipede-like creatures, shocking and repulsing Marta. She wants to know how many of the original 206 colonists are left, which Jilin finds suspicious because surely they should know that information from their satellite. He tells them 87 remain, with many sick, but nobody wants to abandon the project and return to jail. As Jilin gets up to leave, Marta tells him he has the right to one personal request. So he gives her a few sheets of paper, asking her to decently provide for the group. Once the requested supplies appear, the group fills the plane with gas and happily confirms it works. Then they watch as a new group of American prisoners arrive, and Marta and the guards again leave the island. These prisoners have their own leader, a man built like an ox that Jilin tries to shake hands with. The man doesn't respond in kind. Instead, he lashes out at Jilin, triggering a fight between both groups. The battle is brutal, with nobody hesitating to go in for the kill, so Seeper drags Jilin to the workshop to hide with him. One of the Americans tries to follow them but instantly dies when he falls into Tolya's booby trap. Arzenov goes up against the American leader and is overpowered. But just as he's about to die, Armabek jumps in and kills the huge guy as the buildings around them catch on fire. The harrowing scene unfolds in front of the heads of the project who are watching from afar. Realizing the situation is entirely out of control with over 40% of the colony dead, Marta calls the central office. She is told to proceed with Code Naked Island, which involves a group of guards returning to shoot the rest of the prisoners while Marta burns Jilin's letters. Luckily, a few men are still alive thanks to having hidden in the mountains or in the hangar. Jilin, Seeper, Arzenov and Tolya. Together, they push the plane outside, but just as they're about to board, Seeper says goodbye and runs to the hill so he can jump into the ocean, no longer afraid. The remaining trio gets on the plane and Jilin safely takes off. The guards shoot at the plane, and although his 2 companions die, Jilin avoids being hit by the bullets and flies off to enjoy his newfound freedom. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos.